Exciting.
Yes.
Well done, Sharon. Hi, guys.
Hi.
The boys finally showed up. Did we drag you away from the football game? Oh, my goodness me. How it is we try to make ourselves significant. How far back does this go? Well, I don't remember from my life, do you? Seems like it's always been there. But as a little kid, as a little boy, I remember how things were different. Things were a lot more fun, a lot more enjoyable, almost like a dog, you know? A dog lives in the moment. A dog is happy with what's going on, and it can make a shift just like that and be with everything as it's going along. And then puberty strikes us. Well, isn't it such a shock? I mean, maybe for girls it's not as shocking as it is for boys, but for boys, it's like another world descends upon you. And instead of being happy, carefree, enjoying things as they are, you become dull. And you know, what's happening under my arms, you know, all of that stuff starts occurring. I remember one of the telltale signs when I was entering into the puberty stage, and I noticed certain guys were hanging from trees like apes. And I thought, what's this all about? And then I looked and I saw, they have hair under their arms. They're showing this off. It is a sign of their manhood. And they were, in essence, making themselves significant. To the rest of us, they weren't. Have I made this too personal for you? Okay, so most human beings experience themselves as egos trapped inside their own mind space, observing a world that seems to be out there. The normal human state is one of aloneness. When you're a little kid, you may not experience this too much, but after you become a teenager and you move on, you find things definitely change. How long has this been going on? I don't know. But I think one of the results is we don't feel completely at home in the world. Our ego isolation. Get a feel for this. Our ego isolation. We feel isolated inside ourselves. Generates a basic sense of insecurity and insignificance. So, we're talking about separateness here. The effects of this separateness reach far beyond the individual. Of course, we get a distorted presentation of history because history is made by the victors. History is not made by the losers. But even from that, we get the idea that our sense of self, our ego awareness, goes beyond just us, and it reveals itself in our relationships to each other in the world, where we see war, suffering, strife, oppression, conflict. These are constants in our world. In that, we see that we are trying to complete ourselves, to make ourselves significant by gaining power over other people or by collecting wealth and possessions. Think now how it is with you, and think how it is that you have experienced others. This separate self makes it difficult for us to feel with someone and to experience the world from their perspective. This makes it possible for us to be violent, makes it possible for us to be cruel to other people because, after all, we can't sense the suffering that we're causing them. Don't worry, I've got a joke for you at the end. Okay, hang in there. Hang in there. So, something happens to TOO. Happens to us occasionally, that no matter how far into separateness we fall, in a sense, it's never more than superficial. But goodness me, consider now how it is that we go unconscious and live a superficial existence. And in our unconsciousness, we believe that that is the best choice we could make. That really is the reality. That we look around, we say, why, everybody else is doing it, why shouldn't I? But every now and then there's a break in that, you see. Every now and then something happens to where there's a shift, so that no matter how strong the ego becomes, it really is never more than just a construct. Isn't that hard to believe? Isn't that hard to recognize? That the thing that you give so much attention to, so much credence to, is nothing more than a simple construct. I know, the joke's coming. Hang in there. So, think now. Moments when separateness fades. They're only temporary, but they happen. And when they do, in that moment we feel we become part of unity again. These are awakening experiences. These are times when we wake out of our own self-induced hypnotism. So, sometimes they happen when you're just out in nature. You're taking a walk. It can occur, it can just happen, and you say, wow, this is beautiful, wow. I feel at ease, I feel abnormally normal. I feel okay. Or we're dancing, or we're running, or during or after sex. All of these things that we have different notions about provide us with opportunities to once again get real. So that in these situations, the normal chattering of ego, which is the fuel for ego, becomes quiet. It leads to a softening of its boundaries. Separateness dissolves, and we are afloat in the ocean of being again. We're immersed in the glorious isness and aliveness of the world. Tellingly, in these moments, there's always an identity shift. We feel that we become someone else, a deeper, more grounded self, which seems more authentically you. The ego self that we identified with before seems like an imposter, a limited and shallow trickster who somehow deluded us into thinking it was our identity. You see, this is called awakening. And it's happening with certain people. It's happening with those who are making that internal shift in themselves, that are then able to hear a message such as this and have it resonate with them, have it stir them, have it excite them, have it confirm in them, whereas the majority of humanity, they cannot hear a message like this. It's just beyond them right now. So look at yourself, and in yourself, consider the times when you feel low, you feel less than, you feel unimportant, and realize those are the times that you are still unconsciously identifying with ego, who is maintaining its control over you. And then consider the energy, the vibrancy of what is being brought to your attention now, and how it stirs you to a higher level recognition and appreciation of who you truly are. So you can do things to help yourself. You're not helpless. And one of the things that you can do is start becoming aware. And there are tools that are available to you. One of the most common one is breath. You're going to do it until you don't. And now that you are, you can identify with it and use it. And that is, simply become aware of the inhale and the exhale, the rise and the fall. You see, that's an awareness that you're activating there. It can become so clear that it is actually lucid. And if you open yourself to living your life with lucid awareness to everything that you experience, everything that you perceive, sight, sound, smell, taste, sensation, and of course, thought. So in that, then what you're choosing is to be lucidly aware instead of unconsciously bumping along. And in that, you come to recognize that each sensation suddenly appears like a dream. It's like a mirage. It's like a story. Be aware that it just comes up there and let it come. And then let it go. And then let it be. You see, letting go means letting things come and go, and letting be. So that you allow yourself to be, you become it. No separation, you become it as it is. And then you let it go. So that you are then open and receptive to experiencing your higher nature, whatever that may be. And you allow that power of your higher nature to move through you. Get a feel for that?
Yes.
Well, you've got the rest of your life to try it out. And then some. Okay. Now for the joke. A few years ago, the Dalai Lama, His Holiness, visited New York City. And one of the things that he wanted to do is he wanted to have a hot dog. So he met a hot dog vendor, and he said, "Make me one with everything." And the vendor immediately started doing his thing. And then he handed the hot dog over to the Lama, laden with all the trimmings: mustard, ketchup, relish, onions, sauerkraut, tons. No, forget the tons. And the Dalai Lama gave him a $20 bill, which the vendor accepted, and then went about his business, wiping down the ketchup dispensers and salt and pepper shakers, toasting buns, putting more hot dogs on the grill. The Dalai Lama just stood there for a while, holding his hot dog. Maybe he was meditating, or was he some kind of a stare down? Finally he asked, "No change?" And the vendor replied, "Change comes from within." It worked. Thank you very much. For more information about the Metaphysical Church of Enlightenment or the Rodin Foundation, please go to our website at www.rodin.org. If you have been inspired by the revelations shared in these podcasts, please donate to the Rodin Foundation's ongoing efforts to help others help themselves at www.rodin.org/donate.